Well, they're skirting Australian laws to show you ads some experts say should actually be banned.
Pharmacy giant Eli Lilly, the trillion-dollar US company behind the weight loss drug Mounjaro, has been airing this right across Australia. Check out this ad campaign.
Some bodies need support.
To sleep better.
Move easier.
Feel healthier.
I didn't stop trying. I started understanding.
We won't
wait. Talk to your doctor for the full picture on weight and health.
So, it's not the only ad. Under Australian law, advertising prescription-only medicine is illegal, but disease awareness ads are not. So where does this one fit in?
Well, for more, we're joined now by Kate McBride, who is an Associate Professor at Western Sydney University, and consumer psychologist Adam Ferrier. Welcome to you both. Adam, we'll start with you. It's an ad by a company that makes a drug used for weight loss, but it doesn't mention the drug. Now, you're an advertising guru. Is it fair play or sneaky?
It's absolutely fair play. I can't wait to see what the issue is here. You've got an ad advertising the category, getting consumers to kind of be aware of a category of weight loss drug. And so it's not branded in any way whatsoever for a particular brand. So it, to me, feels very, very good, simple advertising used to generate demand, to get people to go and see a GP to get a recommendation on what to do.
Kate, morning to you and welcome. We know Australia has one of the worst obesity rates in the world. So what is the right kind of messaging, and is this sneaky to you?
This is definitely sneaky, and I'd say it's not the right sort of messaging because it's really focusing on the individual rather than that bigger structural problem. We have people living in a very obesogenic environment where we're constantly having food messages driven at us, so this can be really quite stigmatising and making it just about willpower rather than actually dealing with those broader determinants or issues that are driving the weight in our population.
In terms of this ad, if it had have actually had a statement or at the end to say who it had been funded by, would that make any difference to you?
No, not really from the public health perspective, because as I said, we really need to think about those broader issues that are driving weight. This very much places the blame at the individual, and we need to think about how we can actually stop preventing weight and have those broader disease messages and focusing on well-being rather than just weight.
Yeah.
Because there's actually no product statement in this ad, is there? So, Adam, let's bring you back on this one as well, because when I watched this, I thought it's a high production style ad. It's almost like a public service announcement government issued, but there was nothing except for a tiny little fine print detail at the bottom.
Yeah, look, I agree with Kate. This is a big societal issue and we've got to address it as a society. For the manufacturers of this drug, they're doing the right thing, I think, by just raising awareness of a category and letting people know there is help. I disagree that it's about willpower. I think they're saying the exact opposite. I'm saying willpower is not necessarily enough. There are other biological things you can do to address this if you go and see a GP. I think the other thing we need to consider, though, this is only one half of the campaign. The company here is targeting consumers to raise the question about the category, about weight loss or whatever. Then the other half of the marketing campaign goes to the GP, where the GP provides the solution. So the GP is getting all the branded advice about a particular drug, and then they're the gatekeepers of the system, and that's how it works. So to the consumer, raise awareness of a category around weight loss. Gosh, I've got to go see a GP about that. GP gets the solution for the particular drug. And that's the two halves of a campaign working together.
Yeah. Look, I'm not surprised that you really like this ad, Adam, because you're a consumer psychologist and you're also in advertising, right? But just around the ethics of it and it not saying what it's for so that people who it's paid for, how much ethics are there in advertising?
There are a lot. It's an interesting question.
There's a can of worms.
Yeah, it's a big question. We train all of our people on ethics. We've got a partnership with the Ethics Centre in Sydney who helps us to kind of go through these kind of issues. At the end of the day, you've got a corporation trying to sell a product, and that's what's happening without a doubt. But they are doing it, I think, in this case, in a responsible way in terms of raising awareness around the category.
Yeah, on that part of it, because this is wide-ranging, because, Kate, we're going to talk to you about weight loss again, but just in terms of disclosure, for us to know information is power. It's like when you see that there's surveys that are put out constantly and you don't know who's paid for that survey, you know, and digging into it, you find out more about it. But, Kate, talking about it structurally, what's your advice to people who, you know, want to take their health into their own hands?
Look, I think it is a good idea to go and speak to your GP, but you're right, it is about disclosure because they're not disclosing the cost of these medications. We have to remember that these medications are not available, subsidised on the pharmaceutical benefit scheme in Australia for people with obesity, just for people with diabetes. And so there's a non-disclosure there about the cost. So these can cost up to $450 a month for people to get through GPs, for example. So that disclosure is really important, and it's really widening that equity gap in terms of obesity. So I think it's good that it's raising awareness of obesity and getting people to talk to their GPs, but essentially go and talk to your GPs about other ways that you potentially could lose weight, because we really risk people who actually need those drugs not being able to get them or being able to afford them.
Yeah. All right, Kate, thanks for your time this morning. Adam, thanks for your time as well. Appreciate it.
And there's obviously a much bigger conversation to have there about the structural changes that need to happen, as you both agreed to. Thank you.
Thank you.